Hi everyone. Did you know you can get a DUI even if you don't feel high? This is Christina Williams with Just Criminal Law.
And this is David Mann, legal storytelling specialist. Okay, that must have something to do with something I was reading before that said that Colorado, for instance, has a law that says with a certain level, I can't remember what it was, a certain level of THC in your system, you will be presumed to be impaired. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, so Colorado's made it illegal to have 5 nanograms per milliliter of THC in your blood and operate a vehicle.
Okay, so this can, if I remember right from what I read, that this doesn't work the same as alcohol. There's some kind of delay in what it registers in your blood versus what it feels like in your head. Is that right?
Well, absolutely, and it even goes person by person. THC will affect me, say, differently than it will affect you. And so there's really not the science to back this presumptive amount of THC that you can have in your blood and say you're per se impaired and you shouldn't be driving. It just doesn't correlate the same as it does with alcohol.
Okay, so let's throw out an example, like what could maybe be a typical sort of summer story, and you can tell me how this would play out. So let's say a person is out hiking with their friends, right? And they're smoking a little pot. They want to feel, happy, and they're going along, and they do that just a little bit. They sort of get high, and then there's some time passes. They go back home. They decide to grill some burgers, say. And they have a couple of beers while they're doing that, and then someone realizes we forgot the ketchup. So this person goes out in the car and drives away to the grocery store, now hours after smoking pot, but just an hour or so after drinking some light beer, and gets pulled over, and then down to the station for the DUI test. And now what could possibly happen to that person?
Right. So say, you have a couple beers, 3 beers, and your blood alcohol level is, say, a 0.05, 0.06. But you have the active metabolite of THC in your blood as well. Now, you can feel completely normal. That is, the effect of the THC or smoking the marijuana has faded, and you're not feeling high anymore. But when it boils down to it, you still have the THC in your blood, and so you can find yourself in a predicament where you've got THC in your blood, you've got alcohol in your blood. So the state has a pretty, at face value anyway, a pretty strong case of, you must be too intoxicated to be operating a motor vehicle.
Yeah, so it's going to look like that because no one's going to maybe push back on it. But what you're saying is that you felt high a couple hours ago when you were hiking, and you probably shouldn't have driven a car then, but you weren't, you were hiking. And now, hours later when you're driving, you're totally not impaired, you don't feel impaired, but the blood test says that you have it in your system, and it's easy to confuse this and think, well, if you have it in your system, you're impaired. And that's the kind of legal question that you help people get out of. Is that right?
Right. And so, you really have to know the science of how does the body metabolize THC, and what does that level actually mean. And there's very few legal controlled substances that have been studied close enough to say, this is the average therapeutic dose that a person should take, let alone THC. THC just hasn't been studied enough, and it really varies from person to person as to how it's going to affect their mental abilities or their cognitive, what's going on inside of their brain. And when the state gets a blood test, they have no idea what level of THC is in your brain, which is what will really affect whether or not you're impaired.
All right. So if someone finds that they have gotten themselves into this particular situation, they should give you a call. Is that right?
Right. We'll include a link in the description where they can call, text, or chat with a member of my team anytime, day or night. Here at Just Criminal Law, we know you only get one shot at justice, so make yours count.